Hello, everyone. This is Mike Ronchetti, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from Indiana with us today. My guest has a fascinating background in information systems and management. It's my pleasure to welcome Nick to the show today. Hello, Nick. How you doing?
Good. It's nice to be here.
Great. Let's start with introducing yourself and telling us a bit about your personal story, where you're born, where you live, about your family. Some of those things which are kind of special, unique to you. Also, maybe your hobbies, how they're either from childhood or today's new hobbies. And then, of course, feel comfortable throwing in a funny story or anything anecdotal about your life if you want to.
Okay. Name's Nick. Hi. I've lived in this area my entire life. Grew up, was raised in Niles, Michigan. Moved to Elkhart for a while, then moved back to Michigan. I'm in Edwardsburg, Michigan. So been around here my entire life. Been an outdoorsman. Probably be one of my major hobbies. Being in IT, one of the things I like is to actually to spend some time outside. So we've actually got 20 acres where I can go out, and just kind of disconnect from technology. Go out and four wheelers, dirt bikes, side by sides. Just do quite a bit of fishing. Don't have as much time for that anymore. Really like just to kind of disconnect from technology and spend time outside. It's one of the big things, when your business is an IT business and you're dealing with technology. It's great, it's fun. It's just one of my IT is one of my hobbies, but it's nice just to sometimes get outside and get into nature and just disconnect. Um, Married my wife. We're actually our 25th anniversary is coming up, so I married my wife. 20, well, been together 25 years, married 20 years. She's actually got one of the I guess stories. It's she's a high school sweetheart. I actually dated her a little bit in high school, and then we kind of separated and then got back together. So she's actually my sister's best friend, so that's been interesting. Yeah. And then she's a Michigan fan. I'm a Notre Dame fan, so that's also quite
Very good.
interesting. And then I've always loved computers. So my first computer was a VIC 20 back in like 80 something. So I've been around computers my entire life. I can actually remember being a kid growing up wanting to start an IT business. Back then it was just, hey, I just want to sell computer parts. When I was 7, 8 years old, that's what I thought. Really, IT wasn't really a thing back then. It was just, computers. You had your Radio Shacks and everything. So I'm one of those people that actually gets to do my childhood dream job, which has been nice. I spent my first my first career was manufacturing, so I spent about, I want to say, 8, 9 years in manufacturing, and then I just decided that, hey, I want to actually do IT. Did a whole basically a career change boot camp, got 5 or 6 certifications, spent about 9 months doing that, got out of manufacturing, and then I started on service desk, worked up to IT management, and then in 2016 decided it was time to take the leap and start a business.
Fascinating. I mean, it's a situation where it sounds like did you stay in the same company doing some IT work, or did you just immediately jettison out and find yourself somewhere else?
So I started my first IT job was a mobile technician. So
Uh-huh.
just going out to, it was mostly home. It was a mix of home PC repair and companies. I did that. My first job was only so I'm your typical IT guy. My early IT career lasted about a year at each place, and then I jumped to the next one until I got to my second or third job, and then I kind of stayed. Um, but first job was just a mobile technician, and then I got into corporate IT. Started on a service desk. Spent about a year or two just doing service desk. Took me a little bit to figure out what I really wanted to do. I found that network engineering was really kind of like one of my passions in IT. So then I spent most of my career as a network engineer, architect, doing mostly Cisco. Started with just managing small networks up to the largest kind of network I ever managed was nationwide for a local broadcasting company. We had radio and TV stations all the way from Florida to Alaska. So I actually got to travel quite a bit with that. Never got a chance to go to Alaska, but spent time down in Florida, Arizona. I got to go out to see Mount Rushmore. We had a radio station out there. Um, yeah.
So obviously you're embedded in the corporation side, but somewhere it said, "Hey, find my own way, find my own way. What was the point about that, and came out and decided what gave you the confidence to try running your own business?
So really was a catalyst for that was interesting. The about three of the companies, the first three companies I worked for, um, actually sold. So I'd work in a company, help build up their IT infrastructure, and then they either got acquired by another company or the founders sold. And so I kind of was at this point where I was okay. I'm helping build these companies up and build these IT teams and IT infrastructures. you know, why not do it for myself and kind of get all the benefits on the exit? And so that's really what started it. And it just things just kind of fell together. I wasn't real happy at my last IT job. It was just kind of stale. It wasn't really like, hey, what do I want to do next? And it actually just a good opportunity came up with a couple other guys that said, hey, we're thinking about maybe starting an IT company. Um, you want to join us? And it actually turned out that they all left the company, and now it's my company. So it was kind of interesting. Like originally it was supposed to be three of us, and then as stuff just happened, their lives went different directions, and I was like, well, I still want to do this, and so it kind of morphed from there. So um, it was really I wanted to start my own business and kind of grow it, and then have you know maybe in 20, 30 years the exit. And it was like, if I'm gonna do this for other people, why not do it for myself? And um, I think I'd rather work for myself than somebody else.
Got, got it. I mean, obviously, it's not for everybody, as well as it's nowadays. I think the fulfilling thing that most people find that, hey, your own boss, your own time, as well as you get to look at building your own team. I mean, I get that you've had some good experience. I understand doing that. So, but I have to ask a question. Your company name. Share with us a little bit about that, please.
So yeah, so QuantaSi, it's kind of a play on a couple of things. So speed of light, is measured in quantums, and then SI is silicon, the periodic table symbol for silicon. So it's kind of a play of technology is built on silicon chips. So it's kind of a play on technology at the speed of light.
Okay, got it now. Thank you for that, because it's a unique name. It's very special, but also has a beautiful ring of technology as well as integrity. So that's awesome. So, in fact, for anybody listening, if they want to check out uh, Nick's site as far as his URL as well as his LinkedIn site, it's going to be on the below of us in this particular YouTube definition here of where it's at, and as well as when you're looking at his LinkedIn page, go ahead and like this interview if you don't mind. Be appreciated. So Nick, looking at the fact that you're able to look at yourself over these years, and you've been doing this now. You said since what 2016, you said.
2016, 8
So
years.
congratulations. You went through the unknown years of COVID world a little bit. And if you want to share a story or two about someone who helped and push you forward or inspired you during that period of time, and something that did impact you, I mean, is there anything that comes to mind on that topic?
Really, it's one of the major influencers have been actually my wife. She was, one of the big risks, I guess, of starting any company is you're going from something that is it's known it can be. I mean, you always can get fired or laid off from a job, but there's a certain jump of a loss of security when you start your own company sometimes. So there was some planning with that, but she was really supportive of it and said, "Hey, if you want to do this, let's take a shot." There's a risk, but really the risk was why I go back to the corporate world. Because as stressful as owning a business and running a business is, I probably put in more time and hours than I did working in the corporate world, but it's so much more flexible. If I just say, hey, I need to take an afternoon off, doctor's appointment, anniversary, dinner, I have that flexibility to say I can set my own schedule is well worth to me the stress of running a business. And so she really has been super supportive throughout it, because there's for the first few years, it's a lot of my time. It was 60, 70-hour work weeks sometimes. When I first started, it was just me. I ran the business by myself, sold, kind of sole consultancy for the first 2, 3 years before I hired my first engineer. And during that time, with IT, you're supporting companies 24/7. So she's very supportive of, hey, I got to leave from this birthday party to go take care of something, or we got to delay this, or hey, we're on vacation, I need to step away and work on my laptop for a few minutes. So she's been really supportive. And then one thing I found is having a business mentor is key. And I've had a couple, a couple people that other business owners in the IT field that kind of bounce ideas off of. But then one of the big things I found is joining peer groups.
Fantastic, fantastic. So what's the biggest learning as a business owner you've had over the last 10 years or so, or almost now at least 8 years of it doing by yourself?
I don't know if it's a learning thing or if it's what has surprised me the most. So when I first started the business, coming from a tech background, I thought I was going to hate the business side of things, but that's actually I think is what surprised me the most is I've actually enjoyed the business aspect of running a business. When I first started, I thought to be, oh man, how am I going to do this? I know technology, but I don't know business, and I've had to self teach myself most of the business concepts. But that's actually been one of the things that surprised me the most is that I actually enjoy the working with customers and the strategic business reviews we do, and just the interactions, and that was actually a big surprise to me.
Well, first of all, congratulations on being someone willing to stretch and change, because sometimes people come in with a strong technology base and don't want to look at the softer things, which are sometimes strategies and execution, reasons and budgets and all that stuff. And it sounds like you get involved with almost the whole deal.
Yeah, yeah, it's from an operation standpoint, we're still a somewhat smaller organization. I'm doing, on a daily basis, my hats change from service desk, manager to customer relation, every had an upset customer, having to deal with that and help kind of mitigate those concerns, and all the way up to signing checks and planning, like you said, business strategy, marketing strategy. And we have some marketing partners, but still there has to be somebody kind of setting the guidance, and at least setting the ship in the right direction. And you have other people maybe paddling the oars, but there's got to be captain the ship at some point. So it's a challenge. It's jumping from thing to thing, which I've always been a type of person that much rather would be overcommitted than bored. One of the
Mhm.
things that's why I kind of left corporate IT was sometimes it just got kind of boring. And running an IT, especially a managed service business, like I learn something new every day in IT, and business as well now.
Mhm. Good, 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 good. Well, and this kind of leads to my next kind of question is going back to knowing that business success doesn't happen in isolation. Would you mind telling us about your biggest challenge during the years and a possible fellow business owner? You mentioned some peer-to-peer situation who helped you get through it.
Um, it's always a tough one. The biggest challenge I think was um transitioning from purely technical role. I had some management role as well, but managing a team of technicians is different than managing a business. That's probably been the biggest challenge is how to um, formulate that business plan, I guess.
Hmm.
And that's why I actually had one of my good friends, and he owns a couple of businesses in the areas, Shane, and he's helped out quite a bit. He just, he was one that I could always kind of ask, hey, I'm not sure like how to handle this business situation, and he would step in and help. So I think it's important to have, even if you're a sole proprietorship, just having some kind of a person you can go to that either runs a business or a peer group. Maybe it's just somebody you've met in a chamber of commerce or something, but just
Yeah.
having that, or working with you know just like another online peer group. That's the cool thing with technology is, it might not be a local person, but I will say that's always nice to have that local person that you can go have a lunch with. Like that's still, even with technology, it's still nice to have that kind of human interaction.
Yeah, in fact, that oftentimes is a situation where some people again think that it's a business that's a solopreneur or even a small 3 or 4 person business is very lonely. Not at all. It's just the opposite. You have peers you're looking for, and I'm here happy to hear about that. In the same vein, I mean, now think about, hey, if you're asked to pick 3 people in your business journey that you're most grateful for during that time and helping you through the growth, who are they and how they help you? Just you don't have to name names as much. Saying, well, I had this guy who did this, and this woman who helped me in this area. Just give you some examples because it helps our listeners to understand it's not an island situation at all.
I think, one, I said, is my wife. I mean, I think you're always gonna have a family member that has to be supportive. If you're not supported at a family level, it's gonna be tough. And that could be a wife, a husband, a sister, a brother, a mom, or a dad, or even a cousin or something. Just somebody that you can kind of um, help support you in your personal life. Um, I would say a business coach is always good of some sort. It can be either, just somebody like that owns another business, or it could be I've got a guy that I work with, I meet with quarterly here or there to kind of just do like a business coach. It kind of sometimes gives me a sanity check, like, hey Nick, no, you need to do this. Like I know it's a tough decision, but and sometimes that's what you need is somebody to help make those tough decisions. Because especially when you're talking about business, there's some of those decisions aren't always going to be the easiest. So having somebody that's went through it, and then I would say the third thing is really having some kind of an online presence, whether that's forums, an online peer group. But I think really, um, and then going to local events is another big thing, and it's probably something that I've struggled with. Being an IT guy, I'm an introvert, so getting out there and meeting with those BNI groups or chamber events, like just getting out there with other business owners is a good thing as well.
Good, good, good. So, do you think over the next 1 to 3 years you're going to have some new opportunities to grow and challenges to talk about? I mean, what might they be?
Um, I think it always is one of the tough ones is hiring. That's always tough, especially in IT. It's very competitive. It's a very expensive to hire people. I think that's a big challenge going forward is hiring. Um, I think one of the toughest things in hiring now is finding people. We do work remote a lot, but we also need people to be on site, to come in. Sometimes some stuff is just better. We can do team meetings and Zoom meetings with the different employees and everything, but sometimes we'll just meet for like a lunch and just having a group. So I think finding the right people for that. Um, Finding the skills is always a big thing in IT. And not I always say, it's not so much of what somebody knows when I hire them, but it's finding somebody that wants to learn,
Hmm.
and that has that commitment to learning and learning new technology, because technology is always changing. You have to keep up with it. And then I think the other thing that I think is still a challenge for me going forward is marketing, is really getting out there. And there's so much competition now that you can get lost in Google searches and Bing searches. And um, I think that's where getting out to the local events really helps, the referrals and reviews. That's kind of the big thing. So I think that's between staffing, hiring, like that's always going to be a challenge. And then marketing, how to really get out there and differentiate myself from other companies.
Hmm. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I understand that dichotomy of marketing, also your hiring, your retention, your training. You got a human resource side that you oftentimes forget about. Completely different than what you do in your technology play. So that's fascinating. So Jim Rome happens to be a really strong business coaching legend in our industry. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he had a famous phrase that many people pick up on. We become the average of 5 people we spend the most time with. As you think about this, what advice do you have for any business owners who are trying to do it on their own?
It's something I've always heard other, motivational speakers say and everything. Surround you with people that are doing what you want to do. Like, surround yourself with successful people, and it'll help you be more successful. Surround yourself with positive people. There's a lot of negativity and going around nowadays. It's kind of how the climate has been over the last 10 years even. So surround yourself with positive people, other business owners, um, good family, um, and really just surround you with people that are going the same direction you want to go, and you don't have to be a business owner in your own industry. Just other, I
Yeah.
kind of found that it's not just knowing other technology business owners, because that's actually kind of tough in an MSP business because we're a service business, and so there's a little bit of hesitancy to meet with other MSP owners because there's kind of that competition thing. But just meeting with other business owners in any industry. I
Hmm.
mean, I've noticed that we still share the same struggles and the same challenges. It doesn't really matter what business you're in. You still have staffing, you still have costs, you still have accounting, you still have that retention, marketing, sales. I mean, almost all businesses are going to share those kind of core challenges, and so just really surround yourself with any other business owner, and just trying to find people that are growing their businesses as well. I think that's one of the big things of joining a group.
Well, very, very important advice. Thank you very much for sharing on that comment. Kind of as a wrap-up question, sounds like you've been blessed with some very incredible people who have helped you in your journey. What would you like to say to them?
Um, Thank you for believing in me. I know it's kind of that cliche thing to say, but it's it's a gut check when you first get out there and go from a corporate job or any kind of a job and start a business. And so having those people that were positive and say, "Hey, yeah, you're struggling, but you're doing a good job." I mean, and just you want to make if it's 8 years later, you want to still be here if you weren't doing a good job. And it's a big, it's kind of a thank you of just like giving me some time and some leeway to get moving and just really, believe. I said it's cliche, but believing in me that like I actually start a business and make it successful.
Wow, thank you for that comment. So Nick, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show today, and thank you very much for coming and taking the time with me. Again, just thank you, and I really appreciate this.
No, thank you for giving me the opportunity to kind of, get out here and talk and tell a little of my story. It's if it helps somebody else, yeah, that's kind of, starting their journey or that may a struggle part of their journey. If it helps, it's great to kind of give back to the business community, from some of the help I've got from other people.
You're great. Thank you.